the one, the only CEO Soul Activator Daune Thompson, who I've had the absolute long privilege of being able to work with for a long time. It's been about a decade. We're going on a decade.
Oh my gosh, can you believe that?
It has gone by so fast. You know what they say, time flies when we're having fun. And you have been so incredibly impactful in the trajectory of my life, of which I'm really proud of. Thanks in part to you. So what an opportunity to be able to share with the world today all of your amazing talents and talk about not only what you do for others, but to be able to sit here and give testimony, so to speak, of that you're the real deal and how impactful you've been, not only for me, but I've also had the opportunity to really refer you to a lot of my peers as well. Mm-hmm. And even people I've just randomly crossed.
Just called on.
And I'm like, hey, you just gotta call this lady. She's amazing. The CEO Soul Activator. So let's dive into that. What the heck does that mean? Anyone listening is like, what is a CEO Soul Activator?
So, you know how like things just simplify down to you? And I did this journey recently with another videographer that said, I want to know your life story. And I was like, how did I become the Soul CEO Activator? Like, how did that come about? And it was more so because I'm not interested in the external world so much. And I realized as a little girl, I always saw the parts were worth more than the whole. And I was telling them about this story about my grandma. She had this huge rock pile and I would crack the rocks. I'd go get the hammer and I'd get in trouble, so I'd sneak it and then crack them open. And the crystals, you know, when you open a rock, you see how beautiful it is inside, right? And so there was this little innate part of me, and then I go into college and I've got this physiology and kinesiology degree, so I'm not thinking, oh, I'm just going to go get a science degree, but then you're in anatomy and you're opening up the body and you're like, oh, the parts make up this human. Like, it's just this constant repetitive that kept happening of the parts make up the whole. And then astrology was always just part of I just understood it. I can't tell you why, it was just always there, and everybody thought woo woo, and I'm like, it's not woo woo, because these parts, you're the soul, sun, your sun is your soul, right, where you shine, and you got 12 parts making up the human, the psyche. So whether it was rocks, whether it was in a body, whether it was in the mind, your soul knows what to do because it has all this amazingness inside. We just haven't cracked it open. And when you open it up, you can see what parts of the soul, if you let it be the boss, you're CEO, right? So really, I'm just activating your soul as CEO, not really, you know, am I the Soul CEO Activator? No, I just see your soul.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Like it just, and I want you to see your soul.
I've had the luxury of
I want you to see your beautiful soul.
So yes. And one of my big takeaways from you is patterns, right? Like patterns in the sky, and patterns inside, patterns. And so I'm tracking, and I'm glad you shared that with those that are listening to us today. So what I'm so excited about is you really focus on health, wealth, love.
Love, that's the big topic.
Is there anything else, that makes the sum of the whole than those three things? And so I know our journey together started out very much in my professional world. Mm-hmm. You were ultimately, initially, my business coach.
Right.
And I mean, you took me from just being the low guy in the totem pole to,
Because the Soul CEO was already in there. We just had to open her up.
And now, as I like to, say, I climbed the ladder, checked a lot of pretty cool boxes, and you were 100% on that journey with me. But what really then we moved, so business, right? We're covering the health piece of it because you need to be healthy to be able to perform in a business setting, which then obviously part into the wealth sector of my life, and it was extraordinary. And then we got to get into the love part of my life. So we sort of shifted from the professional aspects of me into the personal aspects.
Would you say though, can you see, you started with patterns. Do you see the pattern in all of them? Do you personally?
I see them,
you do.
But let's share it with people who are listening in. What would the patterns be? Because I can say that, I know that. But
let's just start with relationships, because that's the big topic, right? Which you've worked with me long enough, you know that we want to take and put everything in this, like, this one human being is going to be it, so I'm okay. And what's fascinating to me, again, back to Lighthouse Mastery, which is how I teach astrology. I don't really teach astrology in the sense of let's predict your future, because your future will look like yesterday if you don't understand who you are. So, like,
Right.
it's that simple. So if you're living in understanding, you're in a relationship with all 12 categories of your life, when we go just to the love one and just the person you want to be in love with, the pattern is we actually mirror that person in our life, and we don't want to admit it. That's like the biggest thing. People, when they come to me and you say, if you could make a change for anyone that they don't want to admit what's going on in their life, I'm like, it's the same pattern in different pants, baby. Like, that's it, right? Like, they're just a different clothes, different environment, different circumstances, same pattern that you came to master. And yet in relationships, the reason it gets kind of wonky is because we can show up in this, I call it pattern, I call it pattern presenting. Like, we're performing like a kind of like a it's an actor that we're sending out, right? If you could say that. So we show up in pattern performance, and we perform a pattern. Why? Because this person that's supposed to love you, we start to let our guard down and we get vulnerable. Well, then that person reflects back to us their own insecure pattern, and we then perform a pattern of this 9-year-old self, this nervous system self that says, I either need to I want you to make me, I want to get something out of this, right? What can I do to be seen? What can I do to be safe? And will you approve of me? Right? Will you like me? And so if we do this pattern, because we learn that love is really your parents' unfinished business. And we came in karmically, I can look at your chart and go, oh, karmically, this is the pattern you came to cut and complete. And karma is always about completion. It's not about, my eyelashes are sticking. So it's not about, oh my God, karma, do good, get good, do bad, get bad. Because I've seen a lot of assholes get a lot of cool things in life. But if I looked at their patterns, they're struggling over here. Someone else, they're avoiding that mastery. Someone else over here, they're amazing at love and they suck at this money or health pattern. So karma is just about someone showing up, mirroring the insecurity so you can step into the pattern and say, oh, I see the pattern. I'm here to master me. They're just showing me, but we don't like to look at that. So we show up in our pattern, right, performance, and we're performing it well, and then it all breaks apart because the person's like, I call bullshit. That's not who you are. I know you're better than that. And then we argue, and we're arguing about shit that doesn't matter, because truth is the only thing that matters, which is, can you own the pattern of these insecurities inside your soul that you came to master anyway? You chose it. Like, I didn't choose it. The partner didn't choose it, right? But we're always reflecting.
Okay, so it does make sense, but let's stop right there. So I love that you talk about you chose this, and we've also mentioned your charts. Right. So what the heck is the chart that you're talking about? And I've learned from you the 12 aspects of that chart. But for somebody just listening and just saying, okay, get the pattern thing, should make reference to these charts and these 12 departments and the performance piece, like, let's dive into that, because I know when I first connected with you, at first glance, you know, we see the signs in the window that's like, hey, palm reader here, and your astrology stuff, and you walk into a metaphysical, you know, bookstore or whatever. This is not Daune Thompson. Like, you are to the next level when it comes to this. You've never promised to, like, read my palm and predict my future and or right, but you do understand the patterns, and everything is energy, and we talk about, you know, the patterns in the sky, the patterns here, and astrology has been a huge contributor in my life of understanding me at my core, the truth of who I am at my core, and what I chose, right, when I came into this dimension, and then what I continue to choose based on this chart. So can you enlighten those that are listening as to what all of that is? And I mean, it's a gift that you have like no other.
The best description I can give you is when something is in your soul, like I'm an Aquarius, it's a sign of astrology. So I always wondered, like, why is this so easy for me? Can't you see it, right? And so even friends of mine who are astrologers are like, how did you learn that technique, which I call Lighthouse Mastery, right? To read charts, and I call it the 4 hot spots, right, of your chart. Well, I didn't learn it. I just made it because I see karma. I don't look at a chart to predict your future, like you said, to read the tea leaves, right? We're bringing out the tea on astrology. So astrology has been given this bad rap when really what astrology does is it gives you back your power to see who you are on a map, on a piece of paper, and it says, hey, look at these major 4 hot spots that actually they're so uncomfortable in your life. In these 4 categories, you lean away and then they get hot. Then you get blinded by it until they blindside you and you're like, I can't believe this happened to me, and it's so like logical to me. But it's like everybody goes, but it's astrology. It's really not for me. More it's about what karma did you come to master. And if you can see 4 simple categories of your life, someone it might be their spiritual truth, someone it might be money, right? Someone it might be their communication and they suck at communicating. But they're like, I have to master this? Yes, you have to learn how to use your words,
Yes.
Someone it might be business and a career. Someone it might be their belief system sucks, right? And maybe they grew up in a cult and they're like, I know this isn't right for me because I'm out of it, but I don't want to do that. But that's what my beliefs are, so what do I... So we have to see what we came to master and upgrade. And it's on a birth chart. So your astrology chart is nothing more than
my blueprint. I used to love how you would do
it is. It's nothing more
blueprint.
than a blueprint, or and I even more simplify it. When you buy a car, you have a user's manual of how it works, right? Most people hardly ever look at it unless they really need to fix something or a light's going off, right? Well, that's the same thing with us as humans. We have a user's manual that says this is how you work. And then this right here, when the light's going off, look for that spot on your chart and, if I just shift my consciousness or my attention to that, I can turn the light off and it won't burn me anymore, i.e. hotspot, right? So I just simplified it down to what karma did you come to master? And karma is about completion. We come here to complete some sort of karma. And when we were talking about relationships, this phrase is something every couple that comes to me, and I get a lot of couples, right? The wife will come to me or the husband will come to me like, can you talk to my wife too? So I laugh about that. But when they come to me, I explain to them, you married your parents' unfinished business. And they're like, I would never marry my parents. Well, we don't marry our parents to want to be in a marriage with their parents, but our parents taught us traits. Their parents taught them traits. Our parents, so we can take this back to my science brain, which is epigenetics, emotional gene that is the higher emotional gene that goes back through your ancestral lines. Your lineage is thousands of years old. So we have to step into this version of ourselves of saying, so I can call it science and epigenetics, I can call it astrology or a birth chart. I want to label it as other than I'm here to master a couple categories of my life that I, as a soul, chose to learn. And you said, well, you chose this. You chose these lessons to master. And then we don't like it because those are the hot spots and they burn and they're uncomfortable, right?
And proof is in the pudding. Nobody hangs out with somebody for a decade if you're not getting massive results. And I'm a high-performing personality.
Yes,
you are. It done.
You are a driver through and through.
And I'm not hanging out with anybody who's not elevating me. The 4 Bs.
Those are your 4 hot spots, but I call them your 4 Bs, short for your 4 bullshit points.
So they stand for, 4 categories of your chart, which are Saturn, Moon, Chiron, and your North Node, right? But they're your blocks, your baggage, which is all your emotional BS that you brought from childhood, right? Your bruises, where you got hurt or wounded and you're so protective of that, you don't want to go there again. And then your breakthroughs, which is a hot spot for why I teach it, is because it's what would literally blast the top off of our life in the glass ceiling, yet we avoid it, even though it's the leaves of the tree. It's where we're supposed to grow fruit and bananas and grow abundance and be fruitful, yet we avoid it because it's uncomfortable, or we might not be good at it right away. But it actually feeds fire into our soul. So those 4 Bs are kind of like, if you don't deal with your BS, your 4 Bs, if you can see it on paper, why not see it on paper and do it fast, is my point, right? Why are we waiting? And I don't believe in 20 years of therapy. I don't think we need all that. When you actually know the truth about you, you kind of get this like light bulb moment click on and go, so I can just be me?
So let's go back to, you were just commenting, you have a lot of couples that come into you and you're like, I don't think you need 20 years of therapy. How do you feel about couples therapy? I mean, if the man's calling you or the woman's calling, whatever it is, right? It could be, and they're saying, can you speak to my significant other, my spouse? And, you know, most of their sphere might say, have you considered couples therapy, counseling? How do you feel about that?
I think couples therapy is bullshit.
Total bullshit. Here's the key. If you have 2 whole people, you don't need couples therapy. You just give your love from your overflow, right? When you're full and you know who you are, you know your BS, you know how to show up and go, hey, honey, my BS is coming up right now. I'm probably giving this to you, or could you call me out on my BS? I'm cool with that because I know it's mine, not yours. When you know that who that is, then you can start filling in the abundance of it. And when you have an abundance, let's just say you have 2 people at 100% and you start growing and becoming whole, and you're at 110 and they're at 120, giving this partner an extra 5% does not deplete you. It does not drain you. But the problem is we come together, and then couples therapy is like a mediator saying, I agree with them, I'm on their side. It's bullshit. So then you're going there for pattern approval, right? For, I'm going to go perform this pattern for the therapist and say, see, this is what's happening. And now you're getting back into the old, you're getting approved by a foreign person that doesn't know your soul. They know template. And again, I do not belittle therapy because I do think it's good for you to a point, but that's not who you are. So why are we talking about problems instead of saying, here's your BS, here's when you deliver it to your spouse. Are you cool with that?
Time, and as mentioned, coming from a professional aspect to, you know, a personal aspect, one of the greatest benefits of working with you for me has been really understanding that blueprint, right? That birth chart, that this is unique to me, as unique as my fingerprint. This is where I'm going to shine most likely, and the 4 Bs, my areas of blockage. And one of my favorite takeaways from you is, look, you can do this, whether it's in this professional environment or this personal environment, 20 different times. I could go get 20 different careers or 20 different employers, or start 20 different businesses to learn the same damn lesson, or I could just stay put with the one. And if it takes 20 times to learn the karmic lesson, I like to look at the, you know, the karmic cycle or the karmic life lesson right here, right? And just work it out until...
I'm so proud of you. You remembered that 20 lessons with 20 people or 20 lessons with one person. Like, it's pretty basic,
in all
right?
fairness, it is pretty basic. But in fairness,
it's hard. Yeah.
You're so good at this. There's nobody better, in my opinion, than you. Really just going, whoop, dink, here it is. It's not that hard. But for those of us that it is hard at first glance, because we're learning something new about us. And we're not on the external, looking for that external validation, out there doing that performance. You know, we live in a society that rewards that behavior. We're, you know, most people are not going, like, everything is from inside out, not outside in. So you've been super beneficial in terms of being able to hold me accountable, right? There's accountability, and as a reminder, like, of going back into this blueprint, being the CEO Soul Activator, and say, okay, let's go here, because this is it.
Right? This is your lesson. Like, this is your mastery. Do you want it or not? Right? It's up to you to use all the external. And in relationships, they don't show up to hurt us. They show up, like I said, when we get with a partner, we allow ourselves to lower our guard, and that kind of pattern performance comes down. But the challenge is that we typically will match like abandonment to abandonment. So you can both work on abandonment. We'll match unworthy to unworthy. We'll match, I love the whole narcissist bullshit that's going on. Like, are you with a narcissist? And my answer is the narcissists are two people who have low self-esteem, low self-confidence. One's just bossy and one's just passive. But they're both learning self-esteem and self-worth. Right? So one's bossy because I don't want you to see it, so I'm going to control this so much. There's your narcissist, or the label of it. So it's always energy and energy. We're always showing up with someone to master an energy that they're reflecting us. That narcissist probably needs to be that bossy to get you to quit being whoever this person is, a people pleaser, and to quit lowering your guard from your truth and saying, my soul doesn't think I deserve this, but you're settling. And so then the narcissist is going, why are you so soft? Like, this is what soft feels like. Like, we're always mirroring some energetic frequency, and it typically comes from, I watch it in fear, control, abandonment, and unworthiness, or your worth, right? Like, in some way. Those four things are like the basis of why we show up in pattern performance, because you grew up in a home, and the pattern of love, which we bring to our marriage, is unhealthy love. Typically, most people learn unhealthy love from their parents, but that's the nervous system said, that's love. Okay, but then they meet this awesome human, and then the guard comes down. You're like, wait, I gotta revert to my past. I gotta perform because I'm insecure and I'm nervous. She sees the real me, and I can't do that. So healthy love feels so freaking uncomfortable. I mean, and to me, I'm like, doesn't that seem weird? I know it shouldn't be weird, but that's literally how the human brain functions. Is this healthy, loving peacefulness goes against everything in my, we'll call it body or home, physical home as childhood, but within my system to say, alert, 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 strobe light, problem, danger, run. And so that's what happens. And it's like you get so basic down to it and going, oh, are these four things something coming up? Am I showing up to perform a pattern so that I can avoid this little inner child that is showing up to go, I want to be liked, I want you to approve of me, and I want to feel safe. And I'm going to give you a pattern to show you this is what it looks like from my childhood. And then you're like, but that's stupid. I don't want that child. I wanted the adult I met, and they had that
guard up, right? But
when they were performing, right? Typically when you first meet somebody, right?
So
the beginning of anything is typically a performance.
Yeah, but they perform someone else, right? Well, I call it your sales, you bring your sales.
Your elevator pitch.
Your salesman shows up and you sell the best you do your hair and you show up all put together and you don't swear, which you know me, I got like F-bombs going on left and right. So, FYI warning, here's your only disclaimer. There will be F-bombs in this.
But you know what I mean? Be raw and real. That's not natural for people because most kids weren't allowed to be that soul's blueprint, raw and real. They had to perform what it took to get liked and approved of and feel safe in whatever environment that was. And none are better or worse. Some are pretty horrific childhoods. And I say, wow, but look how powerful you are that you got out of it. Look how we don't see our power.